years ago, I was doing a training for a huge international company that uses SAP. We were all sitting around the training room in a big U. And in the middle of the training, the internal audit director was like, okay, let's go. I want us to do journal entries testing. Let's get the data from SAP. And I was like, okay, because it wasn't planned in the training at all that we're going to do that. But okay, let's try. So everyone gets their laptop. They get their SAP GUI, they open it, and we're like, okay, so what do we need for journal entries testing? Well, we need the general ledger, so we need the BKPF table, we need the BSEC table. Let's go. So we start filling in for each table, each field that we need. We need the document date, the posting date, the company code. We need the document number, the line item. There's a lot of discussion going on about what kind of fields we need. And we spend a long time doing this. We spend a long time clicking on all the fields. Maybe take us about 20 minutes. And then somebody says, hang on a minute. If we download 1 year of general ledger data, that's going to be like 30 million records. We can't do that. There's no way. It's going to take hours. So then we decide, okay, let's just take a week or a month. So we filter on the week, filter on the month, and then we realize there's a problem. Because you might not know this, but the general ledger data in SAP is not in one nice table. It's actually in 2 tables. So you've got your amounts over there, you've got your dates over there. And if you can't actually join those 2 things together when you're downloading it, then there's no way to get only the amounts data for 1 week or for 1 month. And at that point, with the SAP GUI, we just realized that, sorry, we can't do that. And we just wasted 2 hours of time discussing and trying to get data. And it was just like, I'm sorry, we can't do it. And the internal audit director was so frustrated, and the team were a little bit frustrated as well. And that was 10 years ago. And since then, we've been helping a lot of customers trying to get data out of SAP. And every time we come into problems, and maybe you do too, maybe it's because your IT director doesn't want to give you access, maybe it's because your teams don't know what kind of data they need, maybe you only have SAP GUI and it just takes really too long. And when you're very busy, you don't have time for that kind of thing. And you run out of time and your team gets frustrated and everyone just thinks, go back to Excel. Hi, my name is Claire Welledge, and I'm here to talk to you about the ASAP tool. I've been working at Deloitte for 10 years in the past, and then after that, I created the Affinia company 10 years ago. And in all of that time, all I've been working on is trying to get data out of SAP. And during that time, we've been having a lot of problems. We have a problem of like knowing what data to get. What tables do we need? What fields do we need? How do we filter the data? Some of the data is really heavy. You can't just download the entire table. You can't just download the entire general ledger table or changelog table. It's too much. So we're having a lot of problems of like knowing what data do we need, how do we filter it? And then sometimes when you want to download data, you've got some data like dates in one table and some like amounts in another table, and you actually need to put that data together so that you can get only, for example, for 1 month. And that's actually quite difficult. So over the years, we've been testing different tools. We've been helping customers use different software tools that are out there on the market. And we've experienced a lot of problems because sometimes those tools are expensive. Sometimes you have to get your IT department to validate the fact of implementing something on the SAP system and they don't want to. And sometimes you just can't get through those barriers. And it stops your team from being able to do any data analytics because you can't get the data. And let me let you into a little secret. Getting data from SAP is actually really easy. If you have a SAP GUI, all you need is a little tool that talks to SAP GUI and brings in that data automatically. It's like automating your SAP GUI. So if your team have got the SAP GUI, all you need to do is use our little tool called ASAP, and it will tell SAP GUI to get exactly what you want, nicely filtered, all of the tables, all of the fields that you need. And we've been using this for so many customers now over the last few years, and it's helped us to go so fast. First of all, we want to do, for example, fixed assets. And maybe the team aren't that familiar with fixed assets. So we think, okay, I'm going to download this table and that table and these fields. And then we realize, oh, I've forgotten something. So we have to start again. We're going to download something again. And we just press the button now. We don't have to go back into SAP, select all of the fields manually, trying to link them, but we can't link them in the SAP GUI. All we do is we press the button in the ASAP tool and we get the data straight away. And this has helped us to go so much faster for our customers. Instead of spending days and days trying to get the data out of SAP for them, right now it's taking us 5 minutes. And those are for customers in retail, customer distribution, customers in manufacturing and oil and gas. We're helping them to get their data really fast, and it's speeding up our work so well. Let me ask you a question. What would it be like if your data analytics team could get the data straight out of SAP really fast, like in 5 minutes? What would it be like if they didn't have to go through your IT department to ask for data, and then they get the data and then they realize it's wrong? What would it be like if they didn't have to go into SAP GUI and choose all the individual fields and spend hours trying to work out what do they need for which audit test? What would it be like if they just thought, okay, I want to do an audit test about journal entries, and then they just press a button and all the data that they need for doing any kind of journal entries testing comes down onto their laptop ready to be used? Wouldn't that help them to go faster? They wouldn't have to spend days and hours trying to get the data. That boring part of the work would be done for them automatically, and then they can go straight into doing the actual analysis, which is what their expertise are for, right? They're not people who are supposed to be there doing data entry. They're not people who are supposed to be there doing IT work. They are there to do data analytics and to think about those journal entries and fraud schemes and things like that. So just imagine how great it would be if your team had access to all the data they need at the click of a button, and they can just bypass that whole SAP data access blocking problem. If you are in the retail sector and you have SAP, this tool is going to work for you. If you are in the manufacturing sector and you have SAP, this tool is going to work for you. If you're in oil and gas and you have SAP, this tool is going to work for you. Even if you're in the banking sector and you have SAP, this tool is also going to work for you. It's going to help your teams to go so much faster, taking away the headache of trying to get the data you need out of SAP. We've been using the ASAP tool for the last few years to get data out of SAP, and it's been helping us speed up our work really fast. And I really want you to be able to get this tool also, and here's why. There are too many auditors out there who are struggling to get data so that they can do data analytics. They know that they should be doing data analytics, or they want to do data analytics, but the first blockage that they have, the first roadblock, is actually getting the data from SAP onto their laptop so they can actually analyze it. And too many auditors are struggling with this, too many internal controllers are struggling with this. And that's why we really want you to be able to get the ASAP tool so that you too can get the data quickly and easily and get on to the work about doing data analytics. All you need to do is click on the option to get the ASAP tool, and then you'll receive an email pretty much straight away. And in the email, you will see a link, and you click on the link, and then you can download the ASAP tool. And then it's very easy to install. It's just like installing WinZip. You don't need any help from any technical people. As long as you've got SAP GUI on your laptop, and then you get the ASAP tool, install it, and then you're off, ready to go. And with that ASAP tool, when you actually download it, we will be giving you all of the Excel parameters that you need that will list out all of the tables and fields that you need for every single audit test that is listed in our framework that's talked about in our book. And so you will be able to immediately get anything that you want. Like, for example, if you want to do fixed assets testing, then the Excel file will show you all of the tables and fields that you need for the fixed assets tests that are in our framework of 300 tests. And there's a button inside the ASAP tool that you can click, and that will load up into ASAP, and then you'll be able to get all of that data straight down from SAP. So when you get the ASAP tool, it's really easy to install. You just download it from the link that you'll get by email, and double click on the link, and you'll see you get an executable that will launch like this. This is the thing that helps you to install it on your laptop. And all you need on your laptop is SAP GUI. So you've already got SAP GUI, and you can already connect to SAP with your SAP GUI. This tool will basically automate what you're doing inside SAP GUI for you. So instead of going into SAP GUI and having to do like SE16 and choosing all the tables and fields, this will do that automation for you. So we're talking about a little tool that automates SAP GUI, but it's going to save you so much time. So once you've installed the tool, it will ask you for the license key, and the license key is what you will receive automatically by email when you download the tool. And then it will ask you to connect to your SAP system. So this is the same information that you would normally enter into your SAP GUI. So it's going to give this information to SAP GUI. And we will also ship with the tool a load of Excel files. And the Excel files are basically the configuration that you need for each section of data analytics that are in our 300 must-have data analytics. So you don't actually have to even input anything into the tool if you don't want to. If you want to be able to, first of all, go with the 300 must-have data analytics that we put in our book, all you need to do is use these Excel files. And when you upload the file by clicking on the button, you will see that all of the information from the Excel file will go into this ASAP tool. So you've got all of your tables, your fields, everything you need to do your analysis is inside the tool already. And we're ready to go. So then what we will do is click on the play button, and it will start downloading the data from SAP. and it will tell you for each table when it's got the data out of the SAP system for you. So you get a little message to say your SAP download has started, and then you get little messages to say which ones it's finished. And in the Excel files, you'll also be able to see that you've got filters in there, so you can filter on a particular year, a particular month, particular day. But you can also update the filters yourself. So we've got tabs here also. You can add whatever filters you like. If you want to, you can add it manually. Generally speaking, we've added all of the filters that you would typically want to do for you in Excel. So for example, like if you're getting the general ledger, normally you want to filter on the posting date so that you can match with your trial balance. So we've already done that. And then when you get the data down, as it's coming down from SAP onto your laptop, you will get these files. And each file will be limited to a number of lines that you put in ASAP. So if, for example, you want to get only 1,000 lines per file or 1 million lines per file, and the data table had 2 million lines, then you'd get 2 files. So the ASAP tool is really easy to use. When you download it from the link in the email, it will come up and it will have an installer. So we just click next, 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 and it will install on your laptop. And then you'll see that you've got a lot of Excel files that come with that. So you can click on the button to upload the Excel file into the tool. And depending on what tests you want to do, if you're doing tests about financial reporting or order to cash or purchase to pay, you select the Excel file that you need for that particular test or those range of tests, and it will come into the tool, and you'll be able to see that it's loaded up the SAP tables, the SAP fields, and also the filters that you need to apply to those tables while you're downloading so that you don't get too much data. And then you just press go, and you will see on the screen the data will be downloading, and it will tell you as it goes that it's been successful. And whilst you were downloading the data, it would have also asked you where do you want to put that data. So it will put the data into a nice folder for you on your desktop so that it's ready to be used. If you have very big files, it will cut them up. It asks you, for example, do you want to get 1 million rows per file, 10,000 rows per file, whatever you need, and it will put them into your folder. So for example, general ledger table number 1, number 2, etc. And you'll have all of that information on your laptop. And it will come down with the technical field names, which is really good because you might not know this, but if you use the friendly field names from SAP, you will have, for example, amount field, and then you have another field, which will be amount field. But those two things are not the same. One of them will be in the document currency, and one of them be in the local currency. So you're actually much better off using the technical field names. So it will bring everything down in really neat, nice order onto your laptop so that you're ready to use it. So there you go, very easy to use. It's a brilliant tool, and we've been using it for a few years now, and it's made our life so much faster. You know what? It's actually helped us to transform our team, because those 300 basic tests that we have and all of the documentation that we have in those Excel files about which tables you need, which fields you need, how do you filter that information together, it's very easy to give that to our data analyst team, and they learn from that so quickly. And then when they get that data into the platform also, they can see straight away what's the risk, because we put in there the description and the risk of the test, and they can immediately see what the impact of that data is in the dashboard, and they can start to understand what all of this is for, right? So it's an amazing tool, even just for training purposes, but I'm sure it's going to make your life so much quicker. And you straight away get onto a level of we're not doing any data analytics right now to suddenly we have 300 analytics tests. We can get the data very quickly for it. We can refresh all those dashboards immediately for it. And we're already at quite an advanced level of data analytics within a couple of days. So this is really going to make your life so much quicker and easier, and it's a very simple tool to use, as you'll see. We're giving you a tool for an extremely low price, and also on top of that, we're giving you all of the Excel files that configure that tool to tell SAP exactly what you need. So there's so much work that's been done there already for you. But not only are we giving you all of that for such a low price, we're also, when you get the ASAP tool, you will get into our members area. And inside the members area, there are different things. Like we put different documents in there. For example, you want to do separation of duties analysis in SAP, you don't have SAP GRC, or if SAP GRC, you don't know if it works properly, whatever. We give you an SAP SOD matrix, and that is just like, so much work goes into that, because you have to know which transaction codes should I not have the same person having this transaction code with which other transaction code. It's a matrix that says, like, for example, you shouldn't have the same person that enters invoices and does supply payments. Why is that? Well, I mean, you could enter an invoice about buying a new Mercedes, and then you could enter the payment. And if there's the same person doing that and there's no approbation, then nobody's going to notice, right? So that is what we call the separation of duties test. And you need to know, okay, what are all of the SAP transaction codes for entering an invoice? What are all the SAP transaction codes for doing a payment? And then you want to check whether the same person has those two things. But there are hundreds of different what we call separation of duties risks, and we've made the matrix over the last 20 years. And we're giving you also that in the members area. So the members area is going to have loads of really interesting information like that. But what's amazing about the members area is that you can ask any question you like. And we have a team of experts over here in Vietnam. They're experts in SAP because that's all they do every single day. They know how to decode ABAP programs. They know how to test in our sandbox, this or that. They know all of the tables and fields in SAP that you need for whatever business process, even if it's plant maintenance, or it could be fixed assets, or inventory, or it's human resources, whatever it is. We've been working on all of the different things for huge different companies over the years, and we know all the SAP tables and fields backwards. We know the codes, we know what they're for, and even if we don't know, we can check it in our SAP system, right? So you can ask us any question like it might be, oh, how do I know the job role of these people in the system? Maybe you want to check, do I have any CEOs in Uganda that enter manual journal entries? Because CEOs don't normally do that, right? How do I know that that person is a CEO without having to phone up the entity and check and this and that? So you just ask us that question in the members area, and within 24 hours, you're going to get the response. So it's another bonus that we're giving you with this tool. Any questions you have, any problems you have, we're going to accompany you from the beginning to the end so that you can really get through push through all of those barriers, all those knowledge barriers that you might have. And the membership area will give you all of that to help you really get into use it, because we really want you to use our ASAP tool. We want it to work for you, and we want you to be able to get going with data analytics. So you don't have to get this tool. If you don't get this ASAP tool today, it's not going to change anything for me, right? We have hundreds of customers around the world that are using the tool, and it's working perfectly for them. And it's not going to change anything for me if you get the tool or if you don't get the tool. It's going to change something for you. Because today you have a team. They're trying to do data analytics. It's taking them too long. Or you're paying a huge amount to very expensive consulting companies. Now, I understand that you might need those companies because you need the brand name, but nothing is stopping you from having also the ASAP tool. And it can even help you to challenge them. Like say, okay, Mr. Consulting Company charging me like 500,000 euros a year. Okay, but we can do it in 5 minutes. So, you know, what's going on with your fees? So nothing is going to change for us. We're using the tool. We love it. It's excellent. It's helping us to really go so much quicker. It's up to you. If you want to go quicker, if you want to be able to challenge those consultants, if you want your team to feel free to just get into the data and do the analysis, it's up to you to make the decision whether or not you want to get this tool today.